calving season is approaching for certain farmers and ranchers across Nebraska. We recently talked with Nebraska Extension educator Berger about things producers can be doing now to prepare for the season, including a practice that might alter the timing of calving during the day. We started by discussing nutrition requirements for the cow.
As we think about right now, many folks who are kind of winter calving, those cows or bred heifers are in their last trimester right prior to calving, and that's really when their nutrient requirements significantly ramp up. Especially as we think about bred heifers or cows that are out on corn stalks, the quality of those stalks has probably deteriorated significantly from what they were back when we put those cows on in the fall. And also those cows are needing more requirements now. So we need to really be paying attention to their nutrient requirements, making sure we're providing adequate protein and energy to have them gaining the weight they need as that calf is growing within that bred heifer or cow really rapidly right now.
Is there a score that you'd like to get them up to as we approach calving?
Yeah, so as we think about a mature cow, we'd really like to see her in a mid-5 from a body condition score as she goes into calving. On these bred 2-year-old heifers, we'd really like to probably see them close to a 6, just because they're still growing themselves and they're going to be growing themselves after they have that calf, and so having a little more condition on those is going to give us an advantage as we think about moving into the spring and getting them rebred.
Okay, for calving specifically, what do you recommend supplies that farmers should have on hand?
Yeah, so I'd really encourage you to go over your supplies, make sure you have what you need on hand in terms of obstetrical chains, some sleeves. If you're using a calf puller, make sure that's in good working condition. Would also encourage you to review how you would assist a cow or heifer at calving. There's some good publications available at the beef.unl.edu website that explains some things to be aware of and how you might assist. Review with your veterinarian when you would like to call them or when they would like you to call them if you think you might need assistance. And so just reviewing those things can help you get prepared mentally. Another thing we want to do is go through our facilities. We probably haven't used those obviously since last spring, and so might want to think about making sure all the gates are in good working condition, lighting is in good condition, head catches, things like that are well in place. Another thing we want to have on hand is some colostrum if possible. It's good to get that from within your own herd. There's also some really good colostrum replacement products available today that really have very similar efficacy to what natural colostrum does. And so if you don't have any natural colostrum on hand, would encourage you to visit with your veterinarian, identify those products that they recommend and have some of that on hand as well, and that'll help you get ready for the calving season.
You said producers should also have a plan for warming calves. How cold is too cold? How can it affect the calf?
Yeah, so as we think about that calf, obviously when we get into situations where we have cold temperatures, that's a real shock to that calf, and so we want to be prepared to get that calf dried off and also give it colostrum if it's stressed. A good thing to purchase is a rectal thermometer, and if you're concerned about where that calf is at from a temperature standpoint, go ahead and get a measurement on that and know where you're at. In terms of warming those calves up, that really depends on how stressed they are. Oftentimes just getting them into an environment where we have some warm air and maybe it's a heat lamp, getting some colostrum in them can get them warmed up. If they're thoroughly chilled, where we've really dropped that body temperature below the mid-90s, then we might want to think about a warm bath to bring that body temperature back up, in addition to some warm colostrum to get them back to where they need to be body temperature-wise.
Finally, Aaron, how might you be able to alter the time of calving based on when you're feeding the cows?
Yeah, so there's some interesting research that's been done over a number of years that shows that if we feed those cows in late afternoon, early evening, that we can, in many cases, increase the number of calves that are born during the day. Physiologically, we're not exactly real sure what's happening, but may have something to do with the fact that when that cow takes on that load of feed in the late afternoon, evening, she's shunting more blood for digestion and rumen activity there. But there seems to be some data that would support that. In any event, if we need to feed and we can do it in the evening, might provide us an opportunity to get more calves born during daylight hours when temperatures are warmer, when they're also easier to be observed and could be an advantage for us.
How soon does that need to start, Aaron? As in, how soon before calving do you need to move that feeding time?
Yeah, so I think ideally we'd like to try to get that done maybe 2 weeks before the start of calving, but you know, if we're ready to start calving, obviously not all the cows are going to calve early or right away, so going ahead and starting that as soon as you're bringing those cows up closer to where you're going to be observing them, I think is still beneficial.
On the Market Journal website, we'll link to more resources from UNL on this topic, including information on assisting cows at calving time.